Hello, everyone, and welcome back to part two of our Star Wars Rebels Extravaganza.
We just realized we have so much to talk about this show. We did get carried away the first episode in the best way possible.
Well, you should have seen the amount of notes that Liv had on her phone. So I went into this just kind of like, as I do, just kind of free winging whatever. And then I sit down and she just has like pages and pages. And I'm like,
yes.
oh, okay, this is how it's gonna go.
Yes. I think it's because I'm just rewatching the show right now. So I was watching and then thinking of things and then writing them down because also I'm the kind of person that I will have these really good ideas and then they just flee my brain.
I'm the same exact
And
way.
then we're sitting on this podcast and you ask me something and then suddenly I don't have any thoughts anymore. Head empty.
Yeah, head empty, no thoughts.
So
no thoughts
I took notes, and then because this is a show I'm very passionate about, that like a couple sentences of notes turned into about 3 pages with bullet points. This is in the whole spirit of this show. We talk about the things we love. We're going to talk
the things
about
that we're
the things
excited
we love.
about.
And this is something I'm excited about to talk about.
Yes. So at the end of last episode, we went on a little bit of a tangent about our favorite 2 little guys. Or I guess one's a little guy and one's kind of a pretty tall guy.
Yes, a pretty tall guy, Hondo and Melch.
Yeah, just so we're clear on where we stand.
Yes,
on them.
Melch is a hero, and Hondo and Melch have a very special relationship.
Yes, they really
As
do.
Hera puts it best, as Hera Syndulla puts it best, they have a very special relationship.
So should we just pick up, I don't know, do we want to talk about, we introduced all the characters.
We talked about Kanan and Hera for a very long time.
Very long time. Do we want to jump into kind of the Ahsoka plot lines a little bit, or is there other things with like that we wanted to do you want to talk about the fact that after we finished recording, you got on Twitter and immediately there was like a picture of somebody who was collecting action figures, and everyone, like all of the Rebels action figures, and everyone was in their collector's boxes
except for Zeb.
Is in a Ziploc bag.
And it was like everyone was there. Like I think Thrawn was there. They had Ahsoka. And then Zeb was in a plastic bag. And a lot of the replies were like, of course Zeb would be the one in a plastic bag. And that's true. Because as Chloe put it best, he is the sentimental man. We're talking in musical theater
Not the podcast, though. We love the podcast.
No, we love the podcast, Sentimental Man. But yes, last time we did cover briefly about Ahsoka and her whole plotline during this show.
We mostly just talked about the season 2 finale because we
did. I actually did rewatch the episode called Shroud of Darkness last night, and that's the one where Ahsoka has the vision of Vader.
Oh,
it's the episode where her, Ezra, and Kanan, they go to the temple, and Ezra talks to Yoda and actually sees him for the first time, because the first time he talks to him, he could only hear his voice. And then Kanan fights the temple guards, and one of them's the Grand Inquisitor. And then Kanan officially gets knighted. They do the whole sword thing, but it's with the lightsaber. It's very cool.
Yes.
And then Ahsoka has the vision of Anakin talking to her, and then he slowly morphs into Vader, and she just hears the breathing behind her, and that's when she first realizes that her suspicions that
writing the sound effects for you.
Okay, would you like to do those again?
No.
Yes, do it. Chloe, do the sound effects. Master? Anakin? And that's the first time she actually fully processes that Anakin is Vader.
Yep.
And then she breaks down crying. It's so sad. It also got me to thinking, as we're going to talk about a lot in this part, is that Ahsoka's storyline in Rebels is done so much better and with so much more emotion and so much more consistency than what we saw in her solo show.
Yeah. Also, do I just go straight in with the floodgates? That's even if it's slightly off topic, but on topic, or
yeah, let's do it.
Can we talk about her characterization and how it makes no sense.
Yes.
And that doesn't just include the Ahsoka show, but also how she is in Mando.
Yes.
And this is like, I think Rosario Dawson is a wonderful Ahsoka. I think she's a fantastic choice. But I'm very confused. I don't know. And I know there's going to be fanboys coming in and being like, well, like, she has trauma. And so trauma. Okay. Okay. But let me get to my point. I don't understand why there's the whole thing with with Grogu. You can't be both a Mandalorian and a Jedi, and you have attachments as if you with the Mando, and so that's a conflict of interest. You can't see him anymore. You can't be both. And then Sabine, she's like, you can be both. Fantastic. And then allows her to have attachments, but also doesn't want her to have attachments. And then you go to her in the animated series, and she's like, has her whole thing like, it's a good thing I'm not a Jedi. And
that episode I watched last night is exactly that, because the whole point of that episode is that Ahsoka, Kanan, and Ezra are Jedi in the most untraditional ways.
Yes.
But they still have the calling to the light.
Ahsoka knew what was going on with Padme and Anakin.
Yes.
She knew. And you'd think because she knew, and she knew that probably him having to keep that a secret may have led to part of his downfall and distrust. And you'd think she'd realize, oh, not having attachments is a bad thing.
Yes. Like attachments, but not possession.
Exactly. Like we talked about in the last episode.
Yeah.
That just completely goes away in the live action series. And I'm just confused. Like where did she go?
Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters of all time.
Same.
She's in Clone Wars and Rebels especially. Her arc is just so gorgeous, especially in Rebels when you get this older, wiser, mature woman who has been through the most unimaginable things, has been keeping a low profile, but has still always called to the light. Yeah. And then having this realization, her mentor, her father figure, her brother, whatever you want to call Anakin to her, is the one who has been leading these terrible acts of darkness onto the galaxy.
Yeah.
And her realizing this is the person who was probably the closest to her in life is just absolutely heartbreaking. But her going into that with just so much grace and strength and just willingness to fight.
Yeah.
We love her. I feel the same way, is that especially when we get into the Ahsoka series and we have that whole episode with her and Anakin, I just think that one, it kind of downplays some of the things in Rebels. I know a lot of people have different opinions on that. Personally, for me, I think it kind of downplays it. It is a very sentimental moment for her to be even older than she is in Rebels and see him in the world between worlds and her vision in the world between worlds and have that reconnection. But also something about it I don't really love that they also kind of make it in a way that seems like everything she is came from him. Because as we've seen through these animated series is that Ahsoka is such a powerful, strong woman who a lot of the things in her life, the things that she has accomplished and the things that she fought through has been on her own.
Yeah. I think there were a lot of things that I liked about that moment. I think the main thing that I liked about it was that Hayden Christensen was there. So maybe that makes me a little blindsided.
Oh, me too, yeah.
I think it needed to be a lot more cathartic than it was.
I agree.
There was like a weird level of aggression from him that based on the events of Return of the Jedi and what we saw like in Vader's last moments and what we were supposed to assume about where Force Ghost Anakin is at.
But also I think the thing is that it's supposed to be a dream. It's supposed to be like more of a vision than like actually him. I guess.
Because I took it as like that he was, because she's in the Force, whatever. And I took it as him actually coming to see her because we know that he has taken his force ghost form and can interact with her.
I'm pretty sure that what it is because like remember she falls into the water and she's she's knocked out.
Mm.
That's supposed to be like a dream sequence. And then when he's at the end of the season, end of the show, where he's Force Ghost, that's actually him as a Force Ghost. I'm pretty sure that's what it's supposed to be.
But
and that makes it more sense that way.
It also just shows that it's a little bit confusing the way that they set it up, because I didn't get that at all. Yeah. It makes sense that way, but
a lot of things about that show confused me.
Yeah. I also wish there had been a moment where they showed Ahsoka coming to terms with the fact that his downfall was not her fault. Because that was a huge moment in Rebels.
Yes.
Because she, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but she blamed herself. Because there was that moment at the end of in Clone Wars when he wanted to talk to her, he needed to talk to her, and she said, next time. We don't have time right now.
Yeah, she does
and that was the last time they ever saw each other, and so she holds all of this guilt.
Yes. That's why, like, their fight is in Rebels is just even 10 times more emotional, is when you think about
and then he
that
blamed
guilt
her.
She's carrying. Yes.
He blamed her in that scene where he was like, this is your fault. And I wish they would have had a moment in the show where it's like, no, this wasn't your fault. Do not hold that with you, because she is.
Yeah.
No matter how much she might pretend that she's not, she is holding that with her. And we needed to see that.
And I think that also is something in Rebels that we have to remember as well, is that when she, in the World Between Worlds episodes, where is the first time you see her since season 2.
Yeah.
Ezra pulls her out of that moment, and they have that whole point of that episode is that Ezra wants to go back into the moment where Kanan was dying and save him. And Ahsoka's like, I get it. Like, losing someone is so hard, but that was Kanan's choice. That was Kanan's sacrifice, and we have to move forward. And that is something as well I think is missing with Ahsoka in her series, is that a lot with moving forward, forgiveness, everything with that.
I was going to say, I think one of her biggest strengths and her biggest draws as a character was always her empathy.
Absolutely.
And how she viewed everything differently. And you see it a lot with her dynamic with Sabine, that empathy isn't really there or being characterized. And that really bothers me. Like
one of the points that really made me sad, which is also because I really love in Rebels getting to see Sabine reconnect with her family.
Yeah.
Is that when they mentioned that Sabine's family was killed in the Mandalorian Purge, the reason of Ahsoka and Sabine's falling out supposedly is because Ahsoka wouldn't let Sabine go help her family on Mandalore because she thought that in Sabine's Jedi training, it would lead Sabine to turn to dark ways. Which first of all, I don't love that Sabine's a Jedi.
Literally fought in the first battle on Mandalore. Like, she dropped everything to help Mandalore. And she's friends with Bo-Katan. So she would not leave them to do that.
Yes.
Like, that makes no sense to me. If anything, if, like, the character that we were introduced to would have gone with her to help.
Exactly. We still haven't seen the Purge on screen. She's not there in the battle to retake Mandalore.
There's so many Mandalore
There's a lot of Mandalore battles.
So many sieges of Mandalore. I'm like, which
They've been through so much. They've been through so much. So another thing with Ahsoka in her series is that she is the title character, but she's my least favorite character in the show.
Bingo.
I mean, of course.
Our favorite is Ezra.
Regardless of my feelings on the show, I was most excited to see the Rebels characters most, even though I love Ahsoka. But I really connect with Ahsoka more in Clone Wars and Rebels. The main thing about the Ahsoka series is that we're both very connected to these characters. We love them. There was so much potential. These are characters that have such big personalities, are so multidimensional, and have so much backstory. Because when you think about it, we see Ahsoka in Clone Wars. Clone Wars is 7 seasons. There's probably about 80, 90 episodes. Then we see her in Rebels for a handful of episodes. Then we have all the Rebels characters who are in a 4-season show with about 70 episodes. So we've seen these characters and know more about them and seen them more on screen, probably than most characters from the movies.
Yeah.
There's more backstory for the 6 main characters in Rebels
than for Luke Skywalker.
Yes, than Luke Skywalker in a lot of cases in on-screen media.
Yeah.
So to put these characters in a 8-episode streaming service format series and putting it in live action, I think is a very big disservice to them.
And not only that, to put them in live action for an Ahsoka show, a character who has already been introduced in the other live action shows. So they think, oh, anyone who's never watched Rebels is going to think, oh, this is a whole new show with all new characters. So they're like, why do I care about any of these people?
Exactly.
And what they should have done if they were planning to bring back all the Rebels characters is just call it a Rebels reboot, but live action.
Exactly. I personally think that they should have done it in animation. And that was a rumor for a while, is that there was scripts for an animated version for a multi-season animated show that was going to be on Disney Plus with the original voice cast. That would have been amazing. And I still hope in some capacity they continue the stories with that, because I see all the voice actors posting all the time how they want to come back and voice these characters. And I miss them as the characters.
With the exception of Freddie Prinze Jr., who's like, over my dead body will Kanan ever come back?
But he did it in Bad Batch, so I'm like...
But he said that was it. He was like, that was their last favor. He was like, any other time I come back, it's gonna like put a, I don't know, a disservice to his death. And I'm like, I disagree. I completely disagree. So, I'm still convinced that you're not dead.
Oh, he has to come back and be with Hera and live happily ever after and be his son.
Meet his son.
But I, with my whole heart, wish that Ashley and Vanessa and Taylor and Tia and everyone get to reprise their roles again.
Yeah.
And also just imagine how fun it would be for... You have the plot, like the basic plot still, of they're going to find Ezra, but stretch that out and throw in other characters in there, like Hondo. Imagine a Hondo episode where Sabine and Ahsoka need to go find a Hondo to help with a part of finding Ezra. Like, imagine just like Melt coming back. Imagine all the clones, like everyone that made... Because, of course, like, the main cast of Rebels are, like, we love them, they're special, but the quirky side characters just made it so fun. And those fun little episodes, like the Hondo episode with him and Vizago, and the episode where Wedge Antilles and AP5 and Chopper go on that mission. It's so silly, but they're just so fun and entertaining to watch. You need those with these characters, because they're just... such big personalities.
And they made them too serious.
I know.
Way too serious. And can we talk about the Sabine character assassination?
Yes. As someone who is... I love Sabine so much. I just feel...
I hated her in this show.
I don't think I didn't hate her, but it just didn't feel like Sabine to me.
Yeah.
I feel like I said... with these multi-dimensional characters, I feel like a lot of who they are were kind of reduced down to tropes.
Yeah.
I feel like Sabine, who is like, we see in Rebels, she's this artist, she's a fighter, she's so passionate, she's so loving, and they kind of just took the quality of her that, oh, she's kind of edgy and moody.
Yeah, and that's all that she was.
And then, of course, I don't love that she has the Force, she's training to be a Jedi. I will go on a whole rant about that in a second, because this is something I'm very, very passionate about I'm with you. Rebels in general, just like a theme of the show. I'm so passionate about this, so I'll give this a moment. But I feel like she just got reduced down to that. And Hera, who I don't think had enough screen time, but she, I think, actually was the most on track, accurate. But I feel like still she was reduced down to just like, she's a general and
she's a mother.
She's a mother, and we lost, I think, a lot of her her sassiness and her being there for her kids.
And Chopper didn't
her
kill
adopted
enough
one.
people.
Chopper didn't kill enough people. Like, Hera was never on screen with Ezra and Sabine in the show at all at the same time, except for the at the end.
No.
And one of my big qualms is that I feel like at times they were trying to make it seem like Ahsoka was the Hera role.
No!
When that is Hera Syndulla's biggest fan. That made me not happy. Ahsoka got to hug Ezra, but Hera didn't. They cut that scene short. I know Hera has a child, but I feel like she should have been on the mission to go find Ezra. And they just reduced her to a side character. They just reduced her to too much of a side character.
And why was Hera bringing Jason everywhere with her? Like, she's a very responsible woman. She's going on these dangerous missions. Wouldn't she leave, like, find a babysitter? Like,
well, I will say, it's not that much different of taking 14-year-old Ezra into battles and Rebels.
Okay, but Ezra was being trained as a Jedi. He's not, Jason isn't currently being trained.
True.
And I guess Ahsoka was 12 when she was put into battle.
That is very true.
But again, she was being trained at the Jedi Temple. Your son doesn't have any combat training.
She probably taught him how to shoot a blaster.
And his daddy didn't figure out how to be a Force ghost in time to not be a deadbeat. So
deadbeat.
I totally not his fault. He's not alive. But other Jedis figured it out. Why couldn't he?
Maybe
all of this. I'm just taking out my anger that he's not a Force ghost, and I really want him to be. So I'm sorry. He would have been an excellent father. Okay,
he would have been an excellent father. I'm just thinking about now when they actually do realize that Kanan's like gone. But then there's also the question, this is the one thing about Rebels that has confused me for years, and I still don't get, and I still don't know how I feel about it. Did he get reincarnated into the wolf?
We talked about this.
We did talk about this. I still don't know. It's great imagery, because I always saw when Doom the wolf first showed up, like, he was more of like a Grim Reaper, and then after Kanan dies and the whole scene where it's like, he's gone, isn't he? Like, really gone? And then the wolf's there, then Ezra says, goodbye, Kanan. Did he get reincarnated into the wolf?
I don't know.
It still confuses me to this day. I don't know if it's open for interpretation or what.
Did the Moose God, did he do something? This was my big rant. Like, when he first died, I was like, well, maybe the Moose God taught him how to be a Force ghost, or he's running with the wolves. He had he had a mission.
So, like, when Jason sees like a wolf, does he go like, Daddy? Do I look like? He just goes up to a random wolf. Like, Hera's like, Jason, so your dad is potentially spirits in a wolf now or something. And then Jason's like, okay. So he goes out, sees some wolves, and just petting all of them, saying, are you my dad?
This is so off topic, but have you seen the movie The Lobster?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, there's this, I'll talk about it really, really fast, but there's like a whole plot. So you go into this, if you don't find love in a certain amount of time, then you're turned into an animal of your choosing.
Oh.
And this man was there talking about his mom, that after his parents got divorced, she was not able to find a new relationship in time. It was turned into a wolf. And he was like, I went to go visit her at the zoo, but I wasn't sure which one she was. And so I would give it meat. And he was like, at one point, I jumped into the wolf cage. And I got attacked, and then there were two standing back, and he's like, I just assumed one of those was my mom.
This is what I guess Jason's going to do, trying to find Kanan as a wolf. Should I go on my little rant about the thing I'm passionate about now?
Of course you should. That's the whole point of this show.
So, one of the things that I have a gripe about with how Sabine is presented in Ahsoka is that I think that she had a loss of her Mandalorian culture. Mm-hmm. And something that is so important in Rebels is her that she always still felt ties to her Mandalorian culture. Wearing her family's armor, even though she painted it a different way, fighting the way that the Mandalorians do. etc., etc.
Yes.
But of course, she had that disconnect from her family because her family basically banished her. There's actually a really good example of her coming back to her heritage in season 2 of Rebels and Protector of Concord Dawn. That's one of the first episodes that really introduces stuff about Mandalore in that series. And it's an episode with her and Kanan going on a mission together. It's a great episode. And also furthers my point that Sabine is Kanan's daughter and Ezra is Hera's son. Their dynamic of that episode is just so great. And it also shows that really great difference between how the Jedi were brought up versus how the Mandalorians, the similarities, the differences. She has a line in that episode where she talks about she will always be proud of her clan. She proudly will say it. She does say that I am Sabine Wren of Clan Wren from the House Vizsla. But she knows that her clan and her family lost their way. She never claims Death Watch. She doesn't claim the Empire. She wants to be on the right side of history. And with that said, one of the major themes in Rebels, as explored with Sabine and Kanan, is coming back to yourself and accepting your past and embracing your culture. Even if that means embracing your culture in a new way, as we're talking about before with Kanan, relearning everything he did in his past from the 14 years he spent living at the temple as a Jedi, cutting himself off from all that, and then relearning all of that in an effort to become a great master for Ezra. The same could be said about Sabine. She was banished from Mandalore, basically, was living on the streets, being a bounty hunter, lost touch with herself, and then Hera and Kanan saved her from that. And then we see for these 4 seasons of Rebels, her embracing her culture again. They have that episode where she goes and sees her family, sees her mother for the first time after all these years, sees her brother, see that they are still very opposed to the things she's doing, but she ends up leaving the Ghost Crew for a while to go fight with them, to fight for Mandalore. Yeah. And then we get to the Ahsoka series, and all of a sudden, we barely hear about her being a Mandalorian, besides the fact that her Mandalorian family was killed in the Purge. And all of a sudden, she's training as a Jedi. And we really still don't know why she's doing that. Of course, we do have
want to.
Yes, and of course we have the Trials of the Darksaber, which is one of my absolute favorite episodes of Rebels, where she is learning how to fight with the Darksaber, and she's learning how to balance yourself in the Force. And Kanan does have a monologue in the episode where he talks with Hera about how we're all connected to the Force. Of course, not everyone is up to a Jedi level, but there's still ways to balance yourself in the Force, to have faith in the Force. We see that in Rogue One. Doesn't use the Force, but he has faith in the Force. And that's more or less kind of what Kanan and Ezra are trying to have Sabine do with the saber, because without having faith in the Force, without tapping yourself into it, without blocking yourself off, it's just another sword to you. And that episode is just an incredible episode for Sabine's character development, for the whole Mandalorian plot. Top tier episode. The part when she's fighting and just having that whole catharsis about her family and just like fighting Kanan with the Darksaber and just like spilling everything out about her past.
It's so good.
For someone like Sabine who's just so closed off about saying a lot about who she used to be. So heartbreaking. But yes, we get to Ahsoka and what caused her to want to train as a Jedi? And there's really no explanation. There's no line like, she said, like, I wanted to do it to feel more connected to the culture that, like, I saw Ezra and Kanan being brought up in. But still, even with that, I don't think that's a good enough reason, because I don't really think there's a strong enough reason for her to be.
I agree.
And I think that it's kind of misinterpreting that whole thing from Trials of the Darksaber, is that
I agree.
You don't have to have the Force. You could just have faith in the Force. You could find balance in the Force. You could find comfort in it. And really in Rebels and in Ahsoka, because we do see that moment where Hera is able to calm herself down and listen with Jason, listen to the water where they find Ahsoka in. Yeah. You could connect with the Force, but it doesn't mean you are Force sensitive or Force sensitive Jedi level, because there are some characters who we've seen who are Force sensitive who aren't Jedi.
But they could have been.
They could have been. Like, there's always the thought that Finn could have been. I think Sabine was the wrong character to do it with, and I just don't think it serves her well.
I agree.
I just think if we saw her fighting with her family on Mandalore, or just being herself and going off on this journey to find Ezra.
That being said as well, it's very interesting and a little bit misleading. At the end of Rebels, when they show her like joining Ahsoka, it just kind of seems like, you know, two friends teaming up to try to find Ezra. You come to find out that that's not what's happening, and there's actually all this drama that they don't like each other anymore.
It felt like a soap opera.
It really was. And then again, back to like Ahsoka losing her empathy, being so like she's so difficult to teach and da 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 da. When one of her superpowers was being able to level with people and be like, yeah, I understand why that's difficult for you, and I'm here for you. And she's just kind of, no, I don't. I'm the adult in this situation, and she's a child, and I'm what?
Yeah.
And then she's also trying to stop Sabine from trying to find Ezra, when Ahsoka would have definitely wanted to find Ezra.
Yes. Like, Sabine can be fiery. She's passionate. She will never give up on her search for Ezra, but
I don't think she would have betrayed everyone for it.
No.
Especially not Hera. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ahsoka never really saw the full force of how dangerous Thrawn was.
She was not there.
She wasn't there.
She was only there in the later seasons in the World Between Worlds episode.
Yeah, so
he doesn't even know what Thrawn's capable of.
She doesn't know the extent, so wouldn't she be the impulsive one who's like, no, we'll get Ezra, I don't care. Let's go get Ezra. Not, oh, but that would bring Thrawn back, and that would be bad. Sabine is the one who fought Thrawn, not her. Did she? I don't think she ever even came face to face with him in Rebels, ever.
No, she never did.
So that it doesn't make any sense.
And also with Sabine as well, not only her Mandalorian heritage, but a lot with her being an artist too. Like, the only line they acknowledge it is just, Ahsoka says to her, you have the artist's eye. But I wish we got to see more of her using like her paint bombs and her spray painting and everything like that. Because if there's one thing that, you know, Sabine's not going to give up on, is her artistry.
Yeah.
That's another conversation they have in Rebels. Her father says it, that her father was always the artist. That's where she gets it from. That he's so proud of her that all these years, through all she's been through, she held on to the thing that sets her heart on fire. That's her art. Yeah. So I wish we got to see a little bit more. If this was animated and this was all stretched out and with a full writer's room too, which is also my big gripe about this show. Dave Filoni, you're more of a director. We appreciate you, but I think there's a confirmed season 2 now. They made that announcement. They maybe consider bringing some writers back who worked on Rebels. If they stretched this out and just made this an animated show, or just a longer live action show, just preferably animated, I think that they really should have added more tension with finding Ezra. Yeah. I think they need to add in stuff about what happened in those 10 years. You know, they would have an episode that was just like a flashback episode of Ezra getting onto the planet that he was, things with Thrawn, the conflict with Thrawn there, how he found the little turtle people. You know, there would have been an episode with more focusing on like Jason and Hera and how Hera dealt with the grief of being a single mom. There's just so much you could explore. There's just so much you could explore these characters that I feel if this was just stretched out so much more, could be done beautifully. Yeah. But that's such an interesting story. Such like reuniting of a found family story that I think that condensing it and putting it in a medium that it really isn't suited for is you're really losing out.
I don't think that it's not suited for live action. I think the problem is that studio executives seem to have this preconceived notion that if you're creating something for the live action and it is geared towards adults, it means you have to take out all humor.
Yes.
You have to take out all quirks, all of the things that like made us fall in love with these characters.
Yes.
Like how stupid and how much they messed up. And when they're creating these like live action shows, I have not watched the new like Avatar remake. But that's what I've heard. The biggest like gripe with it is it's so action heavy, and they lost a lot of the humor. And it's like, hey, adults like humor too. And it doesn't have to be crude humor. It can be sweet humor.
That's like something so fun about these characters is that they're fun and quirky and weird, and they're so loving with each other, and they're this weird little family. Like, one of these members of this family is a robot, and one is a 7-foot purple furry guy.
It's weird, and it's fun, and it's sweet. And it's so weird that they think that way, because the most successful Star Wars thing ever was the original trilogy, and that is full of quirks and camp and like messing up, and it's endearing. And so why have we lost the heart? Why is it so like, and that's what makes, I think, Mandalorian so successful is, honestly, when I first started watching the show, I was just watching for the baby.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's campy.
It's campy. He's so cute and funny. And in season 2, when they're like transporting that lady and he keeps eating her eggs and
the frogs.
It's so like, and she was adorable too. It's those like creature things, and I don't know, the character quirks. Bring them back. Yeah.
I will say a couple things. I do want to say some positive things about the show, because
there are many positives.
About Ahsoka is that some of the visual design is gorgeous. Like, I love how they did Lothal. Like, the whole speeder chase with Sabine, like, things like that. It looks like it's right out of animation. The casting of Iman was great. Natasha was great. Mary was great. I just think they all need better material.
Contour.
Yes. Better contour as well. Balin, played by the late Ray Stevenson. I think he was actually my favorite part of the show. Breaks my heart that he passed away, because he's just such an interesting character. Like, this dark side aligned guy who's not really dark side. Used to be a Jedi, but we don't really know where he falls. He's kind of just this middle ground, and he's just an incredible actor, and I loved hearing him talk. Yeah. He was fantastic, and it just breaks my heart. I really hope that they could continue his story in some way. If it's a book, they do something in animation, just something continue his story, because I feel like it's very, very interesting. Yeah. And I do love how they did throw in some things that Rebels fans pick up on, or Clone Wars fans, like in the first episode where they have Ryder Azadi back in his rightful place as the governor of Lothal, and Jai Kel.
Yes.
With Ezra's friend from the Imperial Academy. Those were two really great little cameos. And of course, the Loth Cat, Sabine's Loth Cat pet Merle.
So cute.
Things like that, like the creatures, the C-3PO cameo, and also Mon Mothma. Some of my favorite parts were the parts we did see of Hera dealing with the New Republic government, and
can we talk about that one
fighting?
Guy?
Oh, that senator!
Hate him. I hate him so much.
How dare you say that Ezra Bridger's dead to Hera Syndulla?
No, you don't.
How do you dare say that to Hera Syndulla?
You weren't there, sir.
You weren't there. Were you in the war, Senator? You just sat back and watched.
I love her. I love her so much.
I love her. And the parts
we needed more. Very little,
yes. And also a great thing to add is Jason. Jason was also one of my favorite parts.
Fantastic.
Such a great child actor too. I was like, look at him acting his little head off. He's so great. Such great casting. I was like, look, that looks like the child of Hera and Kanan.
No, whatever the animated monstrosity was.
That kid has a bright future. I've actually seen him in a couple other things recently.
No, he was fantastic, and I love kind of seeing the Force sensitivity and Hera, just watching him and being kind of amazed by him, and that was a really emotional moment when he's like, Hera's like, I don't see anything, and he's like, no, she's here. She just steps back and she just kind of lets him, and I was like, oh, that part was wonderful. Sabine and Ezra's them reuniting.
Oh, their little chat.
Their little chat. Even though it's like, where's the sense of urgency, you guys? Like,
he's like, wait, the Emperor, and they're like, the Emperor may not really be dead. And Ezra's like, cool. Palpatine has somehow returned.
Also, okay, I loved it, but also didn't. Like, the whole thing that Ezra's just like, I really do the Jedi thing, and I don't really use a sword anymore. I just kind of do flips. Yeah. I was like, huh? And he was just like, sorry. Like, he just kind of became like a bit of a hippy dippy. And as a Rebels watcher, you knew immediately that they were about to find him when she found a random animal. And it's like, oh, of course, Ezra befriended a bunch of weird animals.
And what he does best. What he does best. Our little animal lover.
Another critique, though, is I think the show, and this is again like what you said with it was just Dave Filoni, and he's going in with the assumption everybody's watched all of my other shows, haven't they?
Yes.
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. Like, I've watched so many reviews of this show, and they're all just like, who is Ezra and why do we care? The show would have benefited for the non-obsessive user to have some flashbacks and maybe see some actual scenes from Rebels, but in live action as a flashback.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to add context as to who these people are and why this is such an emotional burden and why we should care, because it was just Sabine being like, I want to find Ezra. And if you've watched Rebels, great, you understand. If you haven't, and you're just watching Mandalorian, you're like, who is Ezra? And then Thrawn shows up, and he's such a bone-chilling villain in Rebels, and then he shows up in Ahsoka, and you're like, and why do I care? It's this whole this is one of my biggest critiques with so many things in Hollywood, like a lot of Marvel things and like just like these big media conglomerates that just expect you to care about a character because you're told to. They don't give you any reason, any backstory. They're just like, they're the main characters, so you should care about them.
I do want to talk about Thrawn for a minute.
Yes.
I know we talked a bit about him in the last episode and his creepiness.
But
I just want to talk about how he's introduced in Rebels versus in live action. Because Thrawn is a villain. So in Rebels, they have a great, I think I mentioned this in the last episode too, there is such a great lineup of villains. You have Agent Kallus, of course. You have Minister Tua. You have
freaking Darth Vader,
the Inquisitors. You have Admiral Price. You have Thrawn. Then you have like the random weirdos in there, like Morgan, Vizaga, who's like anti-hero, pirate, roguish.
And like Saw Gerrera to an extent.
And Saw Gerrera and like Ketsu to an extent, who also comes and joins the Rebels. Like a lot of different villains and foes. And of course Darth Maul. How can I forget?
How could we
literally forget? One of the biggest plot lines in this show. Oh my god. And Darth Maul in the animated shows. I went from a Darth Maul, why does everyone obsess over him, to Darth Maul is one of my favorite Star Wars characters.
My gosh.
Sam Witwer's voice acting for Maul as well is just one of the best animated villain performances ever.
Can we just take a moment for his death scene?
Oh my god. Season 3, Twin Sons, dying in the man who caused him this so much pain in his life, dying in his arms, and Obi-Wan looking at him and saying, Maul, I forgive you. After Maul killed his master, the love of his life, and so many other people around him, to look him in the face, say, Maul, I forgive you.
And just like the peace that like washed over him.
Yeah.
But Maul was such an interesting character for me because like it's so interesting because he is very much like he teeters the line between like true neutral and lawful evil.
Yes, and that's the thing that's
but
really
then he's also chaotic at the same time.
Yes, and that's a thing like we see in Clone Wars, especially in season 7 when him and Ahsoka are kind of forced to work together. Then you have in Rebels when he's the one to tempt Ezra to the dark side. And all those weird dark side callings, force visions, everything that Ezra has during his season 3 angsty phase because of Maul. And those are just some of the best episodes are Ezra's angsty, weird, dark side moments.
And I don't know about you, but he tricked me in Rebels too, because coming off of the end of Clone Wars, I'm like, hey, Maul he kind of understands what's up. He's kind of cool.
And when he comes,
he's like really like kind to Ezra.
Yes. He shows up. He's like, I will help you. I know about the Force. I can be your help. And then Ezra's like, hey guys, I met a new friend. And Ahsoka and Kanan like, what new friend? And then it's like, oh no, it's Darth Maul. But in that moment also as well, Maul's also against Vader.
Exactly.
He wants to get rid of Vader as well. And the second that Vader's out of the picture, he pulls out his lightsaber and cuts Kanan's eyes.
Yep. Which took me, like, I think I blinked and I missed it.
You did.
I had to.
You were like, what happened?
I had to rewatch it like 3 times because I was so hysterical and I was like crying and I was like, where did his why is he wearing that thing on his head? Like, where did that come from?
Because it also a lot, as we said, also a lot happens in that episode.
Oh my gosh.
So fast. And it's just like thing after thing after thing. It's the Vader moment. It's the Kanan moment. So much. Maul going from this character who said one spoken line and that gets cut in half in the Phantom Menace to being this compelling, terrifying villain that you also kind of have empathy for in the end.
Yeah. The thing with Maul is like, he's one of those characters that truly doesn't believe he's doing something wrong. He's one of those evil characters who wants to be good.
Yes.
And thinks that he is. And it's a very compelling thing. And I mean, like, and there's all the memes of like, oh, he's so in love with Kenobi. And it's like, oh, he died in the arms of his boyfriend. Good for him. But like, in all seriousness, it's so powerful to see that sort of camaraderie in your final moments. And the way that, like, was he was shot or was he was stabbed? I've tried because Obi-Wan stabbed him, right?
In their duel.
In their duel. Obi-Wan killed him.
Yes.
But then immediately he doesn't let him fall. He immediately catches him.
That whole episode is it's just beautiful in so many ways. Not only with that, but the fact that Ezra gets this calling to go to Tatooine and he finds Obi-Wan. And Obi-Wan says, you were at the wrong place because the one who's supposed to be there going on this journey right now is Luke. And he says to Ezra, I know you want to do all you can to protect everyone around you and restore this peace, but you need to go back to your family because you are in the right place at the wrong time. And then that little shot you see of Luke running at the end, which is a funny thing I found out. They just reused an Ezra animation model for it because he's so far out in the distance. Yes. So Darth Maul, but also Thrawn. But we need to talk about Darth Maul because there's so much to talk about him.
We do. But we'll talk about Thrawn. Go on your Thrawn.
So Thrawn gets introduced after you have the threat of Vader in season 2. Yeah. And how do you go from Vader, who's the villain of all villains, to someone else? So they have Thrawn come in. And when Thrawn comes in, he just kind of comes in.
He really does.
And then immediately, he's a threat. And you have Admiral Price as well. All of a sudden, these 2 big threats come in, and everything changes. And something about Thrawn that is just so compelling of him is just like how we've talked about this with how he's so compelled with Hera and her tactics and everything like that. Just everything else. Like, he's so interested in art. He's very interested in just the strategy of war. He thinks that basically everyone around him, all these other people in the Empire who are trying to do all these bad things in the galaxy, they don't have enough skill as him. Yeah. He's a villain that's like, my skills are great. I'm smart. And he's a big fucking nerd too. Because he's like, I love art. I love skill. I know how to move the chess pieces around. And that's what makes him so compelling. And the fact that they show him in that one episode, it's his office. And literally on the office walls are just pictures of Sabine's art. Because he's like, I'm studying this because I know by her drawings and her spray paint where they just were, what kind of they're up to right now based on her art, because I've been stalking them and her art for the past year now. Also, the whole episode with, you know what episode I'm going to talk about, with Hera's Calicori. And then Hera has to blow up her childhood home. One of the guys with him has the Calicori, and it's like, this is just some like stupid Twi'lek artifact. What do you want this for? And he grabs him and says, you don't understand. This is art. Surprise, some people don't appreciate art like I do.
Well, I think what makes him so scary is he's not really a physical threat in any way.
Yes, exactly.
But
he's
it's his intellect. And that's why we talked about in the last episode, he is Hera's biggest foe, not Ezra's.
Yes, it's the season 3 finale when they finally find out where their base is, where the Rebels' base is. And Hera's there just like looking up at the sky, like, waiting. He's waiting for her to give in and she's waiting for him to stop. And then the base ends up being destroyed. and they lose. However, not for long. Just what a compelling lineup of villains. Like, really, it just keeps getting better and better. How do you go from Callus and Tua and the Inquisitors and Vader and Maul and Price and Thrawn? We fucking hate Rook. Why is he there? He's my literal least favorite part of Rebels is Rook. Why is he there? He just keeps coming back. I remember the first time watching the show, I was like, I thought he was finally gone. I was like, oh my God, Rook is gone, finally. And then it's like episode 8 and he's still there bothering them. Like, oh my God, go away. I'm like, we already have Thrawn doing stuff. Everything's getting to this like boiling point, and then Rook is just there.
So stressful at that point.
Season 4 is so stressful. And the fact that stressful. It's 15 episodes, so it's shorter than the last 2 seasons. So everything's just well, we're talking about the villains. We gotta talk about how Hera just constantly is outsmarting Vader in every battle in space because she's the best pilot, and there's an episode where she outsmarts Vader because Vader thinks he's going out towards them and she jumps into hyperspace. Hera got them out of there. So Anakin's out here like, I'm the best pilot. Like, no, Hera's the best pilot and she outsmarted you. Also, while we're on the topic of Hera flying things, she flies the first B-Wing prototype after everyone's telling her that you're going to die if you go do that because no one has been able to successfully fly one. And then she also pulls the Hondo maneuver.
Yes,
before that was even a thing. And everyone just watches her like, she just did that and she did. And she survived. Queen.
I love her. I love her so much.
What an inspiration.
Now we're just back to Hera.
We're just back to Hera. It's always going to get back to Hera.
My girl, literally,
nothing's gonna get in her way.
I love her so much.
I love that quote in the episode where she flies the V-Wing for the first time, where she has that whole monologue that I made a TikTok to the audio to recently. It's all rooted in something I can't explain and need to be up there. What a great quote. Ugh. I'm sure the two of us, as people who have delved themselves so far into our passion of theater, singing, everything, and made it into our lives, what a quote to relate to. So I think about that all the time.
That could actually be a really good place to wrap it up.
I think it could be.
That's a really nice note. Yeah. Unless you have other things to go about.
I do kind of want to say something about the impact of this show. So when I was Hera at KatsuCon, I had so many people come up to me and gush about how much they love Rebels and love Hera. I really didn't realize, because I've like always been involved in the online community of Rebels and Clone Wars specifically for a couple years now, but I don't think I really realized how far that goes until very recently.
Yeah.
And just people love the Rebels characters so much. So much. Like, I don't think I've seen a more passionate, welcoming, loving part of the Star Wars fandom, and we all know how the Star Wars fandom gets, than the Rebels fans.
Yeah.
Because I just think that there's a character in for everyone in that show. They're characters, like we said before, you get to know so well. You see them on screen for so long, you see them grow so much that it's so easy to see a part of yourself in those characters. The tropes of found family and finding a place to belong. That's so relatable. And I also think when I got to talk to Vanessa Marshall and getting to talk to all those other Hera cosplayers and talk about how much Hera specifically has impacted all of us, that's incredible to see.
And what a wonderful character for young women to be able to watch.
Right? Absolutely.
Like, I said she's not just the damsel in distress. She's not and I think in Sabine too, like,
absolutely.
They made such compelling, strong female characters.
That's the note that I actually have in bold on my little note sheet here, is that it says the female characters are such a win. Women in Star Wars, always so important. And also, the show has such a large female fan base that I don't think I've seen.
Rebels is for the girlies.
It's for the girlies. And also, they never sexualize the women.
No, they don't.
And if there's one thing about Clone Wars that I don't like, it's that slave episode where they put Ahsoka in that outfit and also make her wear a tube top for the first 2 seasons.
And she's a child.
So they never sexualize the ladies in Rebels, and it's so nice. It's so refreshing. We love to see that. Also, can we talk about how the 3 human leads of it are all POC?
No, that is so wonderful.
But even besides Kanan, Sabine, Ezra, you have a lot of the side characters, Jai, Commander Sato, the clones, and there's so many, and that's great for an animated show.
And especially for a Star Wars animated show.
Yeah, it's great. And I've seen so much about how people see themselves, because also Sabine was one of the first major Asian leads
Yeah.
in Star Wars. I think probably at that point, the first. And it's just so important to have these characters that people see themselves in. Going back to that, having this show set in such an important time in the Star Wars timeline,
And
in
one of the most
this,
interesting times,
yes,
too.
which this is my favorite, absolute favorite area for storytelling in Star Wars, is the Rebel and or Rogue One, of course, the original trilogy. That whole area, the rise and fall of the Empire, is just some of the best material. Because you could pull from things from the prequels, you could pull things from the original trilogy, and we've been getting some of the best content there.
You really have.
Those are all my favorites: Rogue One, Rebels, and or the original trilogy. Those are all my favorites. But of course, we are in this being set in one of the most heightened moments in the Star Wars universe. You have these 6 main characters of the show who've gone through their own journeys of grief and loss and trying to find this place and coming together and forming this beautiful family.
What a wonderful message for a kid's show.
Absolutely.
Like, not only, like, again, with having a lot of POC leads, and also the fact that not a single one of those characters looks the same. It teaches you acceptance. It teaches you just the way that they deal with grief in such an adult way. And
yes,
that's kind of like, that's the stuff that made kind of the horrors that they go through. That's the stuff that made old Disney animation so powerful.
Absolutely.
I think we've kind of lost that a lot in
I feel
modern
so
society,
as well.
and I think and I understand wanting, yeah, of course we want to protect kids, but show them difficult things that happen in life in a way that's palatable and that they can swallow, and it allows them to have these really difficult conversations and understand things that hopefully they've never experienced. And especially for, again, like with all the young girls out there, to see 2 strong women who are not sexualized. One of them never like lifts a fist, and she wins and is important not through violence but using her mind.
Yes.
And on the other hand, you've got a pretty badass fighter. There's really a person for everyone. I think this show did such a brilliant job kind of roping you in the beginning with like these cutesy, funny stories, and then slowly just evolving and getting darker.
Absolutely.
And more intense. And it is incredibly smart and mature storytelling.
100%. And it just adds to the story and how they all mature and progress through these storylines so well.
And dare I say, it is some of the best world building in the entire franchise.
Absolutely. 100% agree.
I think in having 4 seasons is part of it too, because Clone Wars goes on for so long and there are so many episodes.
Covering so much.
In this, you see everything from this, like you said, from the same core character's eyes. It really enhances every single project in the entire Star Wars universe. And I don't think that can be said about any other show, because it adds to the Clone Wars. The Clone Wars added to the prequels, but this also adds to the prequels. And then this also adds to the original trilogy. And it adds to every single show that they've made since then.
And in the end, when you think about it, this is just about one rebel cell in this larger rebellion.
Yeah.
Who have created so many waves in this rebellion that they're literally like the poster children for this rebellion.
I don't know. It's really cool. And I think it's probably, with all that being said, the most underrated piece of media.
I absolutely agree.
That's why the fandom is probably so kind and accepting.
Because there's also like, amidst all the darkness and everything, there's also like the wholesomeness of it, as we've been saying. What's more wholesome than a found family?
Yeah.
What's more wholesome than Kaden and Hera's love?
Family.
Yeah. What's more wholesome than Ezra, Sabine, and Zeb's sibling relationship, and then their little rickety Astrum, that cat droid?
And the kids love it. They really do.
See
them run around with the chopper.
Oh my gosh, precious. Cute. Precious.
This was also, I have to add, like, me watching the show was kind of what really helped us become friends fully, because like
Yes.
we like talked a little bit, but it was through the process of this show that we actually became like close and started talking about other things.
Yes. Because you were giving me your updates. You were
updates.
FaceTiming me through it. I was in France when you were watching it. It was providing me
like,
a lot of
oh
entertainment.
Olivia, are you awake? I don't know what time it is in Paris. And
if I forced you to watch Rebels ever, I owe you financial compensation. Or you may be entitled to financial compensation for the emotions I put you through.
Yes.
But the amount of people I've gotten to be fans of this show, my impact.
Your impact. As cheesy as it sounds, I think it is very powerful anytime there is a piece of media that can really just bring people together.
And I think that's the core of this show.
Yeah.
I saw this really great Tumblr post that basically said that the Ghost Crew was formed because Kanan met Hera, they fell in love, and then out of their love, they brought other people into their family. Then they went and had to endure these terrible, terrible things, but also found comfort in each other and other people they brought on, like Rex and Ketsu and everyone else that they brought in to help them, even Hondo and Melch to an extent.
It's a show about the misfits for the misfits.
It's a show about the misfits for the misfits. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I think that personally for me, finding the show during COVID, when my life was just in such a place of uncertainty, it being the most unexpected thing, like me being such a big Star Wars fan and barely even knowing anything about Rebels and watching Clone Wars and really loving it and then just putting on Rebels and just immediately from the first season just falling so in love with it. And then just basically every year having my two rewatches of it. It's a show that I find so much comfort in. And I think it really stems from coming in that time in my life when I really needed a show that gives you hope. Yeah. Like they say many times during this show, the things that bring you hope. And this was a show that did that for me. It's always going to have such a special place in my heart.
Yeah.
Because of that. Yeah. And just for the people it's brought into my life. Who would have known that a silly little Star Wars animated show would make way for so much in my life? I know.
You wouldn't. Who would have thought?
You wouldn't ever. Who would have thought?
Not me.
But I think that's like something so beautiful about the media we see is that there's always going to be that one thing.
Yeah.
Everyone has it. That one thing that is yours, you have a connection to, and just it brings the most unexpected things to you.
It moved me in a way that, again, no other piece of Star Wars media ever has.
No.
And that is coming from someone who saw my first Star Wars movie in like first grade and was obsessed.
Same. Being a fan for years and then having this be the thing that completely rocks my world. But I think that's a really good place to wrap it up.
Yeah, and all that being said, if you haven't watched this show and you're still listening, first of all, why are you still listening?
Why are you listening?
If you haven't watched it, and go watch it.
And I'm even going to say, even if you haven't seen a single Star Wars or you only are familiar with the original trilogy, still go watch it, because this is also a show that I think that you don't need to know a lot about the extended universe, because they have a lot in this show that is introduced in the show for the first time.
Honestly, I wish I would have watched this show before I watched everything else.
Yeah.
Because it just makes everything so clear. There's so much that's so freaking confusing.
Yeah. And you get some of the coolest parts of the lore of everything in that. And then you go, wait, that's why this is this and this.
It puts... there's so many more things that you start to notice, and like worlds you start to notice that like they're just a random planet that's a throwaway that you don't remember the name of, and now it's like the Leonardo DiCaprio meme with the popcorn. He's just like,
exactly
that.
So all being said, if you haven't watched Rebels, give it a try.
And if you have watched it, go comment on our Instagram and tell us why you love it so much.
Send us a message. Tell us your favorite characters. Tell us your favorite quotes.
Yeah. So all of that being said, if you like what you are hearing here, please go ahead and rate us 5 stars here on Spotify, or save this podcast and go follow us on Instagram and all of the things. It helps to support the work that we do and can make sure that it's able to continue happening. And we really appreciate all of you who are listening.
Yes.
And yeah.
Well, that being said, May the Force be with you.
And we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.